In this video, we'll be learning how to cut and sew a 180-degree flare dress with princess that bustier, just like you are seeing on your screen. And for the sake of this particular video, we'll be using Ankara to make this dress. This dress also comes with inseam pockets on both sides. We are going to be learning all of that in this particular video. Hi, my name is Oluwatosin, in case you are hearing my voice for the first time. And you're so much welcome to all my returning subscribers. Thank you so much for always coming back to watch my videos. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Thanks for the likes, the comments, and all of that. I see all of them and I really appreciate them, and I take none of them for granted. Without talking too much, let's dive right into the video. Right here is the Ankara fabric that we'll be working on, and I'll be using this cotton lining, then this crepe for the flare on the chest and the sleeve of this dress. And here are the basic measurements you need to measure on any adult to achieve a dress like this. So firstly, I'm going to be removing the half cut which has the princess that bustier. I measured our bust. I added 14 inches allowance. I shared that into two, one for front panel, the other one is going to be for the back. Then a half length, I added 2 inches allowance to half length as well. Then the next thing to do is to divide our nipple to nipple by 2 plus half inch allowance, a shoulder to nipple plus half inch allowance, a shoulder to under our bust plus half inch allowance. I have a detailed video on how to cut the princess that bustier on my channel. In case you need to see that, I'll be putting the link up and also in the description box. And then I marked for the back as well. While I was placing my fabric, I already placed my lining underneath so that I can cut my lining and my main fabric at the same time, just to save time. That being said, the next thing to do is to cut the flare. To cut this flare, like I mentioned earlier, this flare is a 180-degree flare. So I'm going to be folding my Ankara to the fullest, like the highest this Ankara can fold in length. And you can tell from how the dress looks on the mannequin that this dress is a 3/4 length dress. It is not a long dress, so there's no need adding or extending to the length of the Ankara. This fold of 4 is just perfect for me because this person's 3/4 length is 50 and this Ankara ended up folding 52. I'll be using the 2 inches allowance to fold it down and then to add to the half length. Then because this dress has 2 pockets by the side, what I'll be dividing around the waist region is our waist plus 2 inches allowance for the pockets and then 2 inches allowance for zip allowance. Our waist is 40. What I divided here is 44. Divided by 4, I marked 11, and then I proceeded to marking a full length for the dress, and then I took my tape rule back to the tip of my Ankara and then I marked it just like I'm doing. This is just so that my flare can come out perfect. I mean the down, it can come out perfect, and so that it will be on the same length. The next thing to do after this is to pick or to figure out where the pocket is going to be. So firstly, I will notch the center front. You know, the other side is automatically the center back, the place where the zip will stay. So I'm just going to shift it backward a little with 1 inch, leaving 1 inch, which is for the zip allowance, the 2 sides for the zip allowance. Then opposite it is definitely where the pocket is going to be. I hope my explanation is clear. So what I'm measuring here is our waist, which is 10, and then the rest 1 inch is for the pocket. So the pocket starts from 2 inches below the half length, and then the wideness of the pocket itself is 6.5. Then I'll be using 2 inches to create a channel where the pocket will stay. So in total, I cut open 10.5 inches. I don't have to cut it to the whole length of the dress. The next thing is I folded my lining just like I folded my Ankara, folded into 4, a 180-degree flare, and my lining is going to be like 5 to 6 inches shorter than the Ankara, and then I cut out my lining. The lining can have a little bit of pleating, it's fine, but the Ankara itself does not have any pleating. Then I proceeded to cutting a pencil sleeve and also lining for the pencil sleeve. I have a detailed video on how to cut a pencil sleeve for all lengths, long, 3/4 and short, on my channel as well. I'll be putting the link up and also in the description box. So our sleeve length is 23, and considering the length of the lining I cut after turning, it will end up being 23. So at this point, I'll not be removing the neckline or the shoulder. It's when I'm done joining my bustier that I'll do that, and it's when I'm done joining my when I'm almost done sewing my dress, it will just remain for me to fix the sleeve before I will cut the flare on the sleeve and then on the chest. So I proceeded to adding my breast pad to my half length to the princess that bustier, and then I joined. I arranged it, making sure right side is facing right side and all the joinings are facing one direction. Then under her bust itself is 16 and a half. I put my tape rule on under the bust because you can obviously spot where the under bust is. Where the cup stops is under the bust. So I put my tape rule there and then I marked it upward to be sure that my half length is not too long. I measured it downward as well to be sure my half length is not too long. The only allowance I need there is just 1/2 inch up and 1/2 inch down. In total, 1/2 inch for joining the shoulder and then 1/2 inch for joining the flare to the half length. So I marked her shoulder divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch allowance, her bust divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance, her waistline divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. Then for the neck, I used neck width of 8 divided by 2. I marked for neck depth of 1 at the back, 1.5 at the back, and then 4 at the front. And I proceeded to cutting out my neckline for front and back. Then I slanted my shoulder. When I was done doing all of this, this is what the front bustier is looking like at this point. The next thing to do is to turn the neckline. I will turn the two shaping sides with my lining. Right side has to face the Ankara. Right side of the Ankara has to face the right side of the lining before you turn. Then for the back, you turn the neckline, the zip side, and then the shaping side. Right here, I'm done turning. I used stemming gum to turn the neckline, so I already gummed the front neckline. I used stemming gum for the back as well, but I didn't gum it because I didn't, to gum you have to press. I mean, while I was pressing it, I gummed the two, the lining and the Ankara together, but I didn't gum for the back yet because I need that back neckline to turn. I need that back to turn the shoulder, and I need to be able to flip it just like I did so that I can neatly turn the shoulder line. So when I was done turning the shoulder line, the next thing to do is just to stitch down my zip allowance, or you can just pin it down, or you just stitch it down in a way that you can lose it later. I actually pinned mine down and then I faced my front to my back panel, making sure that right side is facing right side. And it's now time to shape. I divided our bust by 4 from the middle. I divided from the middle, which is from the zip allowance. I divided our bust by 4, our waistline divided by 4. I marked that, I shaped. I flipped it to the other side. Please, when you are shaping, make sure that your bustier is up. When you are shaping for the back as well, make sure your bustier is up. So now I'll be dividing a measurement by 2, no longer by 4. So from my first shaping, I'll divide our bust by 2, mark that, and then our waistline divided by 2, and I'll mark that. Please guys, if at this point you are still with me, please consider giving this video a thumbs up so that YouTube can suggest this video to the right audience. So when I was done shaping, I took out all of my pins. I folded this piece into 2 and then I notched the middle just like I did. Then for the flare, I already proceeded to add in my inseam pocket at this point. If you don't know how to sew an inseam pocket, I have a detailed video on how to cut and sew an inseam pocket as well. I will be putting the link up and also in the description box so that you can check it out when you are done watching this particular video. So you are going to be notching the middle of your flare, fold into 2 as I'm doing, and then you pin the 2 notches together. After pinning the 2 notches together, you can now attach your flare to your half length. So from the zip allowance side, please make sure that the pocket is directly facing your joining where you shaped it, so that the pocket doesn't come forward or go backward. After attaching the Ankara to the half length, the next thing is to flip it to this other side, and on this other side you pick up your lining. I already stitched the down of my lining too at this point. Notch the middle of your lining and then you pin the middle of your lining to the middle of your half length, or you can just stitch it down a little instead of pinning just like I did. And the next thing is to attach your lining on the waistline. After doing this, you will see that all the rough edges are concealed when you flip your lining to the other side. The next thing to do is to put the 2 panels together like this, making sure right side is facing right side, and then you figure out how long you want your zip to be. Just place your zip on your dress on the zip allowance side, and then you mark how long you want it to be. After marking that, you stitch down whatever is remaining inside your flay to the whole length of the flay. When you are done picking how long you want your zip to be. The next thing after stitching it down is to turn this zip allowance. So to turn the zip allowance, I'll be facing my lining to the right side of the zip allowance, one side at a time, and then the right side of the lining has to face the right side of your Ankara, and then you stitch from the waistline to the whole length of the lining. Wherever the lining stops on your Ankara, you stitch up to that point. As you are doing this, please make sure that the one side doesn't get in the way of the other side. Just be using your hand to push it inward. When you are done with one side, you do the same thing to the other side. When I was done doing this, this is what it's looking like at this point. You can now proceed to fixing your zip. So I proceeded to fixing my zip, and when I was done fixing my zip, this is what it's looking like. The next thing to do is to retrim your shoulder and your armhole. To do that, you are going to face your dress like this. Make sure your cup is up and everywhere is properly arranged. From your zip, you will measure to one side your shoulder divided by 2 plus ½ inch allowance, and then you are going to recut your armhole. Because when I was cutting the armhole, this person's actual armhole is 22, but I cut 8½ instead of 11. It is at this point that you will retrim it. After retrimming, you measure, and if your measurement is still not up to your desired armhole, you can still retrim till you get your desired armhole, which was what I did in this video. So I did this to this side of the armhole. I repeated it to the other side of my armhole, and here I already have 11 because our armhole is 22 divided by 2 is 11. The next thing is to mark where the flay is going to be on the dress. So I just marked where I want my flay to stay on the dress. After marking, I measured what I marked. I have 19 here when I was done measuring. Then I'm going to bring my sleeve and place it on the armhole as if I've joined it. You would not join it yet at this point. Just place it, and then you keep marking to the whole length of the sleeve. Then you measure what you have here. So whatever you have inside this sleeve, you'll be multiplying it by 2 for the both sleeves. Whatever you get, you are going to add the 19 inches that is meant for the chest. Now to cut this flay, I'll be cutting 2 of this flay, and this flay is a 360-degree flay. I'll be folding for the 2 of them at the same time. One is going to be the outer one, another one will be the inner one. That means I'll be using one to turn one. So now, this is my fabric. My fabric is on fold of 2 now. I'm just imagining that there are 2, like one for each flay. I'll be folding into 2, then that fold of 2 into 4 now. Then I'll be folding this into 8 in a triangular form. That is me trying to fold for a 360-degree flay. So after folding this, the next thing I will do is that number I want to cut, that's for the 2 sleeves and the chest, addition of it, I'll be dividing it by 8 because I've folded my fabric into 8, and the length of this flay is 3½, but I'll be cutting 4½ because I'll need ½ inch to turn it down and up, and also to attach it to the body of the dress. So this was what I marked here, and then I cut out for the 2 flays. Here are the 2 flays. I'll be cutting one. When you cut this way, when you cut a flay this way, everywhere will come out, like nowhere will come out open. So you need to cut a particular place open, which was what I did, and then I used one to turn one. I'll be turning the up, I'll turn the down, I'll turn the both sides. It's just that when I'm turning the up, I'll leave like 3 to 4 inches gap unturned, and that is where I'll be flipping it to the right side from. So I took this to my sewing machine, I turned everywhere, and then I gave it a very good press. The next thing to do is to fold into 2, and then I'll be using my chalk to just mark the middle of this. I don't want to notch because I already turned it. After doing this, I will bring my sleeve first, and I'll be sewing it on my sleeve first before I shape my sleeve. So from where I want it to start from, which is like the wrist, but like 1 inch before the whole length of the sleeve, I'm going to be attaching it this way so that it can flip back towards the shaping of the sleeve side. So I'll be sewing this on my sleeve, and then at the upper part of my sleeve too, I still need to shape this sleeve and attach it to the armhole. So I'll be stopping like 1 inch to the up, so that I can use this 1 inch or like half and quarter inch from there to attach my sleeve to my shoulder or to my armhole. So I'll be shaping our sleeve now, our wrist divided by 2, then somewhere around our 3/4 length divided by 2, somewhere around our bicep region divided by 2, then I'll mark the armhole itself divided by 2, then I'll stitch this marking, these places that I've marked it, I'll join them together. Please, if at this point you are still with me, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when next I upload new video on this channel. So this is it for one sleeve. The other side of my flay, I'll stitch it on my other sleeve and then shape that as well. When you are done doing that, attach your sleeve to your dress, and on the chest of the dress it will look like this at this point. You can choose to even leave this chest like this and not stitch it down, and you can as well stitch it down on your dress. And basically that is it for the cutting and sewing of this dress. When I was done doing all these things I said, this is what my dress came out looking like. I pinned it a lot at the back because of this dress has waistline of 40, so I have to pin it a lot at the back. That's why it's looking as if the flay is not full. It is a very full flay for this size. Thank you so much for watching. If you've not subscribed, kindly do. In case you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me down in the comment section, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube can suggest my video to the right audience. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.